So today we are starting on page 8 to go over the side notes for Cask of Amontillado. Okay, so in the previous part of the story, Montresor is luring Fortunato down into the catacombs because Fortunato has insulted Montresor. And we don't really know why. We just know that Montresor holds a grudge and that anybody that insults him, he is going to punish. And Montresor is not going to get caught, so he's going to have a really good plan to take care of Fortunato. So as they're going down the catacombs, they get to a spot, and Montresor takes out another bottle of wine, and he gives it to Fortunato. And as Fortunato finishes the wine, he makes this gesture with his hands. And Fortunato says, are you a mason? And Montresor says, yes, I'm a mason. And he pulls out a trowel. So both men are talking about masons, but they're both talking about different types of masons. So Montresor is talking about a mason as far as the job as a bricklayer. Fortunato is talking about a mason like a secret society or a volunteer organization. Like if you've heard of the Elks, like it's similar to that. So they're talking about the same thing, but also talking about different things. A trowel is the tool that they use for bricklaying. Like they'll lay a brick down, then they'll put cement on it, and so they'll use the trowel to smooth the cement. It's kind of like a spatula for cement, okay? So then Montresor is luring Fortunato down further into the cave, moving on to page 9. Then we come to a part in the catacombs, and it's described here. It has human remains right here. It has piles of bones. It's like a crypt. Okay, so those are some details that you can underline about what the catacombs look like. It takes place in Paris right here. So as you read this paragraph, think about the emotion that Edgar Allan Poe is trying to create. We talked about today how he was creating a sense of suspense and a sense of fear, and also is raising questions for the reader as we continue on with the story. So, at this point in the story, Montresor says, okay, we are here. If you go in there, then you will find the Amontillado. And what Montresor is referring to is there's this little niche in the wall. It's like a little opening. So Fortunato walks into that little opening, and even because he is drunk, he doesn't really know what's going on. And in a matter of seconds, Montresor fetters his feet together. It's like handcuffs for your feet. And then wraps a rope, a chain around his waist and chains him to the wall. And Fortunato has no idea what just happened. So then Montresor says, oh, by the way, feel the wall, feel that dampness. And then he says this sentence, once more, let me ask you, do you want to return? Now, throughout the story, Montresor has been very concerned for Fortunato's health and has said several times, oh, you have a bad cough, let's go back. But Fortunato's like, no, I don't really need to go back. Well, this is an example of verbal irony, because now Montresor is like, oh, would you like to go back now? And Fortunato cannot. So he's kind of like pointing out at this point, like, haha, you can't really go back now. All right? And then let's move on to page 10. So at page 10, Montresor begins to brick up this little niche and make a wall there, is sort of like burying Fortunato in the wall. What do you think the bones are that are laying around? We talked in class today about how those are probably bones of other people that have crossed Montresor. So Montresor lives his motto with anybody who attacks me, I'm going to get back at them. So it could be other people that he has attacked. Now, Fortunato had kind of been rattling around while Montresor was building up the walls, but all of a sudden he stopped. And we talked about today how it could be that Fortunato realized he was going to die. Like he may have just come to that conclusion. He could have sobered up quickly and been like, holy cow, I'm in deep trouble. Then we talked about why this is an example of a really good crime. No one is going to hear Fortunato's screams for 4 reasons. One is that he's underground. They're in the catacombs, which is underneath Montresor's house. 2, Montresor is bricking him into the wall. 3 is that there's a party carnival season going on outside, and everybody else is kind of busy doing their own thing. There's loud music. And 4, Montresor has gotten rid of everyone at his house, like nobody is home. So there's nobody around, nobody can hear. Again, the perfect crime. All right, moving then down to page 11, the last page of the story. So Fortunato kind of like takes a moment to kind of laugh it off and is like, oh, this is such a great joke. You're so funny. But Montresor is not having it. He's like, yeah, well, I'm not really joking. And so kind of in the last way to torture Fortunato, Montresor takes his torch and he sticks it in a little hole and it falls inside the wall. Now, I don't know, it could have burned Fortunato. It could have gone out because of lack of oxygen. You know, it's kind of like an extra thing to do when he's already chained to the wall. So situational irony is when we expect one thing, but something else happens. And the ending of the story is definitely situational irony because we do not expect Fortunato to die in this way. Then verbal irony is when you say one thing, but you mean another. And we know that Montresor does not want Fortunato to rest in peace. He's not going to rest in peace because he has been buried in the wall. So those are the notes that we talked about with Cask of Amontillado. If you have any additional questions, make sure to email me.